The Nigerian military says IPOB is a terrorist organization. The implication is they will be treated as such. The military believes the group is violent, and here are the reasons stated by the Director of Defense Information, John Eneche. They say that the formation of a Biafra Secret Service, claimed formation of a Biafra National Guard, unauthorized blocking of public access roads, and extortion of money from innocent civilians at illegal roadblocks. And these are some of the reasons they stated. Meanwhile, IPOB has denied being a terrorist group. The brother of the leader of IPOB, Emmanuel Kanu, who said he was speaking on behalf of the IPOB leader, told Channels Television on the phone that IPOB does not carry guns, neither do they encourage violence. We will play that interview in the course of the program. Well, is the military justified? Is IPOB playing the sympathy card? What is the difference between a militant group and a terrorist group? These are the questions begging for answers. Now, let's get perspectives. I have a retired military officer, Colonel Hassan Stan Labo, joins us in the studio, and we'll be balancing the perspectives on the conversation tonight with some legal perspectives from Mr. Liberus Oshoma, a lawyer and a political analyst. Gentlemen, many thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you, Sean.
Let me begin perhaps with, from a military point of view. What is a terrorist organization?
A terrorist organization, I would say, is any organization within a geographical entity as Nigeria that bears arms, that constitutes a nuisance to national security, that kills defenseless persons, that, does all things, I would say, that somewhat contradicts the very ethics of the law that binds us all together. Not to even talk of a situation where you have an organization that is even a secessionist organization and things like that.
So a secessionist organization can also be described as a terrorist group?
Sure, depending on their lines of action. When they begin to be violent, they begin to bear arms, and so on. And let me just say something, Shehu. In most cases, when we talk of bearing arms, people often limit their definition of arms to AK-47. Even if you carry a pounded yam pistol, a mortar pistol, you are armed. If you carry a knife, you are armed. If you carry a cutlass, you are armed.
Even a broken bottle?
You are armed. You don't.
So the definition of an arm is...
The definition of arm is not limited to automated weapon. No.
So some of the area boys we see on the street
are armed.
They're armed?
They are armed.
Okay, so
and the law can really pick up on them.
So if you, for example, want to differentiate between a militant group and a terrorist group, then what is a militant group?
Show a very thin line separates a militia group and a terrorist group. They are all of nuisance value to national security. They both bear arms. They both kill defenseless individuals. They do things that contradicts our very laws, and so on. In fact, the militia is just at the mercy of the labeling authority. There is a lawyer with us here. I think maybe he will make something clear.
Okay, just before I cross into the legal arena,
yes.
Still within the military, let's get a sense of at what is the degree of activity of a group of people who say they are freedom fighters. To what degree, to what point can they be said to be a dangerous organization?
Thank you, Sean. One man's freedom fighter is another man's, what do we call it? Another man's terrorist. However, even if you say you are a freedom fighter or you are pushing self-determination or whatever, your approach, the manner in which you handle the situation, can either attract negativities upon you or attract positive sympathy for you. Okay? There is a way, whatever IPOB and Kanu are doing, that could have really attracted sympathy on them.
Okay. Take a pause, Colonel. Let me cross to the lawyer here. Legally speaking, what is the implication of a government, particularly the defense headquarters saying this group is a terrorist organization, legally speaking?
Legally speaking, the moment you're declared a terrorist, that means you are declared an enemy of the state. And you know the way the state treats its enemies. And so that's why, for me, I think it's a bit extreme. It's a bit extreme, especially the circumstances that breeds these organizations, this group. It's not the first, and if the issues that led to, the formation of these groups are not addressed, it won't be the last. And so, once a state declares you a terrorist, they treat you like an enemy, and in most cases, you find out that to deal with terrorists, even the laws, in some cases, are amended to hold them beyond, the statutorily allowed period for which, to bring, suspects before the law. And so I hope that we actually know what we are doing. Against the backdrop of, if I take Cornell's definition, blank definition of terrorism, well, I tend to agree with him to some extent, but if I take his definition, I wonder why we have not declared the Fulani ravaging herdsmen as terrorists. I wonder, why the government decided to negotiate with, some militants and, compensate them, all in form of amnesty.
Okay, let's get some premise into this conversation now. There are some very extreme language in the Nigerian law, such as felony,
yes,
treason,
yes,
terrorism. These
yes.
are extreme tendencies
yeah.
within the frames of our law.
Yeah.
Right now, this same man, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, is standing trial in
yeah,
a court
exactly.
of law in Nigeria for treason.
Yeah.
What is the line between
exactly.
that offense now and when the government has declared him a terrorist?
You see, that's where I have a problem also. If you feel, he was granted bail which he has obeyed in breach, permit me to use that word. And if the government feels, look, since this man is standing trial, I expected that you should have allowed the court to deal with the issue because the matter is already, sub judice. Allow the court to deal with the issues. Worst case, he gets to court, you say, look, he's been prosecuted by the government team. So the worst case you should have done is, look, this man, you make a strong argument. The man is not using the best of means. Also, the government shouldn't, how do I put it now? The government shouldn't, degenerate the debate or the discourse to the level of Nnamdi Kanu. The question the government should be asking is, what makes people, reasonable people, listen to, somebody like Nnamdi Kanu? What will make people ordinarily follow him? Because of, it is not the first agitation, like I said, because of the inequalities, the injustice that the Nigerian states, the political class had, inflicted on the Nigerian state right from independence till date. If you remember, pre-1999, after the annulment of June 12, there were agitations in the Southwest. And in 1999, the Southwest was compensated with the #1 position in Nigeria. Ditto the North, ditto Niger Delta. And now, so these are some of the issues that are breeding agitations. And so if this matter is in court, I expected also to deal with the issues legally. And then the idea, and then also the idea that, the issues that are being raised by this group, yes, they are extreme. I agree that they are very, very extreme in their approach, but the ideology behind it, it's what we should be talking about.
Let me quickly take you up on this. What organization, what aspect of the Nigerian administrative framework is saddled with the responsibility of identifying this kind of organization? Terrorist group, militant group? Is it the military?
You see, let's quickly...
Is it the military?
No, the Nigerian police, not the military, the Nigerian police.
That classifies a group.
You see, the constitutional responsibility of the military to protect our territorial integrity.
But when a group becomes a terrorist, is it in that jurisdiction?
No. First, the issue, we are quarreling with the word terrorism here. You understand? So you find out that it is not enough for you to just, label, give a blanket labeling and say, look, oh, terrorism, and so we need to deal with it. The death of Yusuf Mohammed, remember, did not quench Boko Haram. And so we shouldn't start, another round of such extremism that will last longer than necessary. What I'm basically saying is that there are better ways of dealing with these issues. And if you permit me, thereafter, I will outline some of these ways we can handle issues like this.
Do you think, in all of the actions that the military are taking, is there any way that the military perhaps had done what they shouldn't?
I think they have even probably not done enough. Or they did not come in on time. I'm talking about, yes, I'm speaking within the ambit of proactiveness.
The military?
Yes.
In a civil environment?
Yes. Look, Sean, let me tell you something. Thank God we have a lawyer here. I keep saying it. Section 217, 123, I think 3 or so, allows the law enforcement agencies and the military, to protect lives and property, and in the case of insurrection, to come in and so on.
Was there any insurrection in that region at that time?
Hold it, Sheon.
Okay, just hold the thought. Okay. Hold the thought. The governors of the southeast states have met in Enugu State over the rising tension in the region. Can they salvage this situation? The conversation continues. Plus, I will show you how traders have started running away from their stalls in some parts of the country. It's getting dirty. We'll return after this break.
Laughable that is coming from a military intelligence officer. One, IPOB is a non-violent movement. Do you understand? We do not carry arms. We've never asked anyone to kill for us, neither have we killed anyone. If you look at our record is clean and straight. We don't believe in violence. Violence never solves the problem. We believe in genuine dialogue. We believe in personal commitment. We believe in education, informing our people, to the right thing at the right time. How could a whole intelligent officer of the military tag IPOB a terrorist group? How possible is that? From inception, Nnamdi Kanu made it clear to the whole world that we're non-violent freedom fighters. And that's the way it has been. We do not carry arms. We never ask anybody to kill for us, neither have we killed before.
The formation of a Biafra Secret Service and acclaimed the formation of the Biafra National Guard. These are so-called unauthorized formations. How would you react to it? These are some of the issues raised.
They are called vigilante. They are not secret service. They are called vigilante. I think there's a lot of misconception here. They are called vigilante. They are there to take care of our land, and that's all it is. Against attack from the headsmen, from criminals, and all of that. We are not armed. Did you see them armed? The answer is no.
Now that the military declared you as a leader of the terrorist group, what would be your next line of action?
Of course, there are procedures, of course. There are laws in this country that we must have to follow. As a non-violent practitioner. So we will do everything within our power and within the law to make sure that nobody will attack IPOB, the terrorist group. They came to my house. Let me say this. They came to my house. That was yesterday. Night, they never invaded my house. Now there's a report saying that they found some arms in Nnamdi Kanu's house. So how come they're having this contradiction? You see, it's very, 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 very funny, to be honest. They came into our house, shot everybody. They killed 22 people. To the house, you see stains of blood.
Welcome back, everyone. About 500 police mobile force men have been deployed to the commercial city of Aba to restore peace in the troubled city. Earlier, the Assistant Inspector General of Police, the IG Operations, Taiwo Lakanu, had said, while on duty, told to Aba that the mobile policemen had assumed duty and that the whole place is quiet as the policemen are on patrol. My guests in the studio are making sense of the military and the legal perspectives to a declaration of a group as a terrorist. IPOB has been declared a terrorist. That's the developing story we've been following for you on Channels Television. The group has come out to say they are not terrorists, they do not carry arms. And that is how the federal government of Nigeria sees that group. We'll take the conversation further. Retired Colonel Hassan Stanlabo, former military officer in Nigeria, and Mr. Liberos Oshoma, a legal practitioner in Nigeria and a political analyst, have been weighing in on this matter. Well, now, you before we went on that break,
yes, right,
you were going to say whether or not the military has done enough or they haven't.
Thank you. Seun, let me say this: the level of information or the amount of information before government is not available to we ordinary folks on the streets. And most of this information at times borders within national security, their intelligence, which may not be divulged to the public. The point I'm trying to drive home here is this. Government is gradually beginning to learn its lessons. These were the sort of mistakes we made until Boko Haram became as hydra-headed as it was, to a point that we could not contain it.
So you're making the same mistakes?
Just excuse me. It got to a point whereby even the authorities that ought to react were rather reading a different meaning into it, be it political or whatever. And there was a need that by the time we came in, it was already late. El Zakzaki in Zaria started a very funny thing. Okay? If you know Zaria very well, nearly half of Zaria was under his control. And he was getting larger than life. It became necessary to curb his excesses before we have another Boko Haram in our hands.
Colonel, just
today we have done that.
Just a moment, Colonel. Just a moment. Let me show you a dictionary meaning of the word terrorist. He does, dictionary did give us this, say, a person who uses unlawful violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in the pursuit of political aims. It went further, it goes further to say 4 commercial aircraft, that's an example, were hijacked by terrorists. So other meanings to the word terrorist could be a bomber, arsonist, incendiary, and the adjective to that word would be unlawfully using violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in the pursuit of political aims, describing a terrorist organization. If you look at that again, if you look at this word, Colonel,
yeah,
does this really fit into what IPOB represents?
It talked about violence. Did it? Did it talk about violence or not? Is IPOB a violent group or it's not a violent group? Does IPOB look like a peaceful group to you? Okay,
let's allow the lawyer to come in into
it. Talked about arms, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, good. All right. For time, I did say I will outline. I don't want to talk about problems so much, but I can tell you that if 50 years after the Civil War, if 50 years after Biafra, if 50 years after independence, the agitations, the fears of the minority that led to the Willings Commission of 1957 are still here with us today, it means that we have not addressed those problems that led to the Biafra War. And so, if you remember when the president went for his first medical vacation in London this year, the agitations were rife. But it took the statesmanship of the then acting president, the current vice president. He visited these places. He walked on the street of Yenagoa. He visited Owerri. He visited Umuahia. what did he do? What he simply did was to give a sense of belonging.
What would you have suggested that the president? What would I have suggested that the federal government? What manner would you have suggested that the federal government?
There is agitation in the southeast that this government had consistently neglected the southeast. Whether you like it or not, the activities of the present government also had laid credence to all of these. Are people, who didn't even want to listen, started, counting also. And so what stopped the federal government from addressing a stakeholders meeting in the southeast? To say, look, all of these rumors and misgivings are not true.
What about the representatives in the National Assembly?
Excuse me.
Is that not the
Do you know that in Nigeria, what you have as Nigeria is a big local government where everybody look up to the center. That is why if there's no water in your area now, you call on the federal government to come to your rescue because the federal government takes so much.
So you're saying that the federal government should have met with IPOB or...
No. What did Oshibanjo do when Buhari first traveled? He didn't meet with IPOB, but he went on the streets to relate to the people. He met with the political office holders. And so in the same vein, what stopped the government from having a stakeholders forum in the southeast? Blame those that you need to blame. And then promise those that you know that you can achieve.
Okay.
And then it's all work in progress. I'm running up quickly. We have never been this divided the way we were in the last election. And after the election, rather than the president now unifying everybody, he started making statements that further divided us. And all of these are fallouts of those statements. And that's why you have all of this.
Colonel, going forward, because of our time now.
Yes, I know we don't have time.
What is the implication? Now a terrorist group, how would the federal government be handling this group?
The entire weight of our national counter-terrorism strategy will be brought to bear on them. Okay? And I was just trying to quickly react to him under some seconds, please.
It won't kill the ideology.
All the
didn't solve the problem.
I understand.
For 50 years it didn't.
I understand you. You see, all the grievances expressed by both IPOB or even the entire East, there is today a window of opportunity within which these grievances could be addressed. And what is that?
Is the government addressing it?
Restructure.
Is the government addressing
just a minute. I'm heading here.
We need to close in 30 seconds.
You will make them become irrelevant.
We need to close in 30 seconds. We need to close in 30 seconds, please. If you just
and it will be my closing remarks.
Please, go ahead, please.
I'm saying we have that ambit of opportunity in restructure, okay, to address these issues. Fine. What is wrong in IPOB? I don't want to say the entire East, because frankly speaking, most Igbos don't even buy into this idea of IPOB or Biafra. What is wrong in you articulating whatever you think are the issues and bring them to the table?
My closing.
All right. Just let me allow Mr. Liberal.
And it is important that I advise Northerners up there, please not to, or to ensure that they protect the Igbos.
All right.
Because we are seeing what is happening now.
We need to go
whereby Hausas are being targeted.
Just
Northerners up north to make sure they protect
Mr. Liberal. We need to
protect them against any attack.
We need to allow Mr. Liberal.
Quickly.
Just a statement because we were out of time.
Please. You find out that all of these agitations leads to one thing, that the current structure as presently practiced is not sustainable. And so we need to do something about it. Otherwise, 50 years from now, you will still have this agitation.
Thank you so much.
And military force will not end it.
The conversation will continue right after here. But that's how far we can go. Many thanks, retired Colonel Asim Stan Lambo and Mr. Liberos Oshoman. That's our show for today. Many thanks for being part of it. I'm Sean Akimbale. Bye for now.